Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon all of you, my fellow learners, professionals, brothers, sisters. As you can see here, in this video, we are going to look at the mind, specifically about what we put inside our mind. Now, I felt that this is a very important idea to explore because, for example, personally, I have been very careful about what I have chosen to put inside my mind. It has been a significant factor that has been able to differentiate myself against my peers, against contemporaries in various spectrums and spheres that I've operated. Now, let's try to understand the mind in a certain sense. Our mind is a non-stop worker. In fact, except the time that we sleep, our mind is always thinking. So thoughts, right? What we think is like it's always working. And to the level that I remember my friends sometimes tell me, you think too much, man. Don't think too much, right? And I don't agree with them, but I've heard that a lot. So it's a non-stop worker. It is constantly absorbing. Our mind is constantly absorbing and learning from all that we see, hear, feel, smell, and do, right? The five sensory organs that help us in terms of inputs, all of that is absorbed and learnt and perceived through the mind. So, what the mind absorbs also has a significant influence to our hearts. And by heart, I mean the values, the ethos, the principles, right? What is in our heart, what we feel, who we are. So, the best example, I'll try to simplify this. I'll give you an example. The example is what we learn in our childhood shapes us for the rest of our lives. This is an idea that I'm exploring deeply these days. So, if you think back to your childhood, especially between the first, maybe 12 to 15 years old of that time period, you have very little control over what you choose to put in your mind, right? Your family, your parents, your school, your teachers, your relatives, your aunts, your uncles. These are the people, the television. These are the things and the tools and the people that decide what is put in your mind. We don't have really a lot of control over that. But after a certain age, we start getting this control back. But a good example I can connect is consider a child who has undergone abuse, who has gone through severe abuse or abuse in their childhood. Most of the adults, this is scientifically proven, most of the adults who express challenging behavior in their later life are those of them who have very sadly and gone through traumatic abuse when they were children. So, what was put in their minds when they were young has severe effects in their future, severe implications into the future. We must be very careful of this. What we put in our minds could either sharpen it or dull it. So, this is the angle I'm approaching because we have multiple aspects to tap into when we really talk about the mind. The mind is a very complex tool. Today, in this video, I want to focus on to what extent we sharpen our mind or dull it. Because today, a sharp mind is very important, right? People are outright lying to us. If our mind is not sharp, everyone and anyone will get away with everything they do. All the deceit, all the lying, all the cheating, all the glorification, all of that. They'll get away with it because we will not see it until it's too late. Having a sharp mind is more important than ever before. In a day and age where people thrive, the powers to be thrive on ignorance, on the ignorance of the poor people, on the ignorance of the normal society. They thrive on that. And how is ignorance fueled? When the mind is not sharp. Even the educated, even the learned today, I am seeing this in my country abundantly, are ignorant. They are educated, but the mind is not sharp. Okay. So let's approach this in two aspects. The first aspect is if we put negative and non-value adding things into our mind, it will become dull and useless. Okay. Now, what exactly do I mean by negative and non-value adding things? Negative mostly links to bad human values. Negative things like deceit, lying, manipulation, division, racism, color based, caste based, division, jealousy, dishonesty, and hypocrisy. Basically, I'm talking about oppression in various forms. Even lying to a person with a negative thought, with a negative intent, is oppression. That is what negative means. So if we do these kind of things, or if we are subject to these kind of things, if this is the association of our mind, this is very bad. It's going to make our mind very dull, very useless. Value mostly relates to intelligence and sensibility. So in this perspective, I'm talking about wastefulness of time and resources. How much time do we waste today? How much of resources, water, energy, natural resources, renewable energy, whatever it may be, right? Thinking capacity, how much of our thoughts are wasted, right? Glamour and glorification. We live in a day and age where glorifying empty things is big, it's massive. Ignorance. I've already touched on this, and I feel like this is the biggest problem. This is why we need to more than ever be careful about what we put in our mind. And another big aspect in this capitalistic model that the world has been built on, which now is slowly being proven that it doesn't work, it's a failure, is financial prioritization. Prioritizing money before everything. Where has that led the world to? Right? So if we put negative and non-value adding things, if the mind's association are these things, the mind is going to be very useless, very dull. But in contrast, on a positive note, if you put positive and value adding things into your mind, it will sharpen your mind. Your mind will be sharp as a tick. What exactly do we mean by this? Positive mostly relates to good human values like love, compassion, being helpful to others, faith, faithfulness or loyalty, selflessness, uniting than dividing, uniting, respectfulness. Peace of mind is very important today, right? How many people have peace of mind today? They might have billions in their bank accounts, but how many people have peace of mind? Kindness and social contribution, etc. These are positive human values. Value adding mostly relates to intelligence and sensibility in the sense you're talking about, or I am talking about knowledge, technical skills, education itself, professionalism, which I consider to be a very value adding piece of skill also today. Professionalism is lacking a lot nowadays. So it is an important aspect. And social skills, right? Conversion, negotiation, convincing, uniting, teamwork, leadership, following, obedience, social skills. So these are the positive and value adding things you must associate yourself with. You must take great care to protect your mind, because if you do this, your mind will be very sharp, and it will be very difficult today. The biggest problem, it will be very difficult for someone to utilize you, to manipulate you toward ignorance. It will be very difficult for someone to come and lie to you. The moment someone is coming and lying to you, you know, because your mind is very sharp. The papers won't be able to lie to you. The news anchor won't be able to lie to you. Your teacher won't be able to lie to you. The marketing pressure of all these educational products and the degrees and the, all of that, all the social media influences, all of these people, there's a lot of lie and deceit. I'm not saying all of it is bad, but the bulk of it is empty. Even my video, while watching this, if your mind is sharp, you know by looking at this, you know by listening and watching, is he right or is he wrong? You yourself, your mind can decide it. This is what I want. So be careful what you put in your mind. This is the point of this video. Please, as learners, as professionals, you must be very careful what you put in your mind, because in the long run, It will determine, if you think really hard, think about your father's legacy, think about your grandfather's legacy, think about all the world heroes' legacy, think about Luther King, think about the prophets, think about Prophet Moses, Prophet Jesus, Prophet Abraham, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May peace and God's blessings be upon all of these people. Right? Think of all of them. Think about the detrimental legacies that have been left. Think about the dictators. And think about Hitler. Think about Lord Buddha on the positive side, what he has left for the world. Right? So in the long run, if you associate goodness, if you associate positivity and value-adding nature of content that you associate, you will leave good things behind in terms of your memory, in terms of your legacy, in terms of your future. So be careful what you put in your mind. As you know, I support students and various professionals, young professionals, and anyone who has trouble or who has challenges with respect to their career, who need guidance, who need an honest conversation, who need an honest listener and an honest mentor. You can access my work. You can directly contact me. Just simply drop an email to the email address that you see here in this video, or you can find it in the description section, and you can book a session. We can get started working on exactly what you need support with. Helping people, helping students has been my entire life, and I'm looking forward to working with you. I hope the video here helped. May peace be upon all of you and your loved ones. Thank you.